Oh, I know you're recording. Hello, everyone. I'm just moving my mic, Phil.
Greetings, music lovers. How are you doing? Welcome to Full Record Jacket with Phil and Ben, who is at the moment moving his microphone, as you can see. It's been a couple of weeks since we recorded. Ben
Hello.
had a slight, you had a slight loss of voice, didn't you? A little bit of a virus.
I had a viral throat, quite a nasty one, to be fair. I had the dangly bit at the back of your throat. Well, that was that inflamed that I couldn't really swallow, and I wasn't particularly healthy. And I've had a lot of stuff going on, so we had a hiatus. We are like Matchbox 20 in the 2010s. We've been on hiatus for a little while. Well, for 2 weeks.
Kind of like Oasis.
Yes, but our comeback is bigger and better.
Yeah. And just like Oasis, we don't have Zach Starkey on drums.
No. Oh, no, wait there. I've just given him his job back. So he's back with us.
Now, I just said, Ben, shall we just start recording? Because that's what we sometimes do, isn't it? We don't always have a plan. We have a rough plan, but some people like our random chats, don't they? They seem to think it's good when we just don't actually know what we're going to say, as if we ever know what we're going to say.
No. Well, we have never done. We've had ideas for shows, but we've never scripted anything or done anything that we've put a lot of thought and effort into.
Well, we've done quizzes that we've written.
Those sort of things. But a lot of the stuff we've done,
we did research on our albums, didn't we? We listened to these albums and researched them.
Yeah.
We don't generally script the show and fill it with facts because we like to use our minds. We like to remember. We like it to be like a pub chat, don't we? That,
Exactly. And looking at your head, you are 90% mind.
Exactly, and you have to, when you're down the pub and you're talking about music and you can't quite remember a certain fact, and you either have to have a debate about it or concede that you can't remember, or hope that you're not in a country pub with a bad signal and you can look it up online.
I must admit, though, Philster, from when we first started doing this channel, our budget has obviously gone up slightly from £0 to around £0. Looking at our LED logo behind your head there.
About 10 pence, isn't it?
No expense spared on our little logo behind Phil's head there.
No expense was spared that printing on canvas.
Is it on canvas, is it?
It's on canvas, this is, yeah.
Well, you've actually spent some cash, Philster.
Yeah, it's on a little bit of canvas. It's printed with a thing that you print and iron it on.
Oh.
Yeah, it was made for me.
That's quite nice.
Yeah.
I like that now. I just thought you'd just drawn on a piece of A4.
No, it's a genuine fan-made artifact.
Ooh.
Which reminds me that I've got I've got one in here, but I still got your Phil and Ben mug, which we made about 2 years ago, didn't we?
Yeah. I'd like to drink out of that instead of having to use bottles. Uncouth, Philster, uncouth. So how have you been anyway? How's 2 weeks without me being?
It's been not too bad. I might have to, I had to do 2 weeks without you.
Yeah.
I might have to ask you to do 30 seconds without me because I need to go and fill up my glass, my drink glass. Is that okay?
Okay. I can do 30 seconds without you.
You do 30 seconds without me.
Right, people. This is where it goes absolutely mental. I have got some stuff to tell you about Phil. Some wonderfully awful stuff that he used to do when he was younger. Now, you need to prepare yourself for this because some of it is shocking. I am talking news at 10 shocking. The amount of places he's been banned from that own livestock, etc., is phenomenal. So I'll tell. Oh, he's back.
I'm back.
Oh, hello, Philster.
Nearly.
Oh, nearly. This is the thing, you see. Phil doesn't like people. Oh, hello, Phil.
Definitely back now.
He's definitely back. Definitely maybe back. I was just about to tell everybody absolutely nothing about you. So how's your water?
It's absolutely marvellous. Never tasted
Marvellous,
water
marvellous.
like that.
Should we get on to some music stuff?
Do you know what I do? There's a couple of music things I do want to talk about.
Go on then.
I've actually got them here. I want to talk about. It's probably been talked about on the internet before amongst music geeks. I want to talk about rotten music.
What,
Well,
you
not
mean
rotten
like...
music.
Oh, I thought you
I
meant
want
like
to,
a
I want to,
Bewitched album.
I want to talk about rotting CDs.
Yes, you had this the other week, didn't you? You had a CD that went mouldy.
Well, I've got a couple here, which I bought in. It would have been the very early 90s, and they've got something in common. They're going a bit. I've got some more somewhere, but this one, we've got Jimi Hendrix Cornerstones. This was a compilation of Jimi Hendrix on the Polydor label. Came out in 1990, I think. And it's quite a good compilation because it's got all the it's got all the ones you'd expect to be on there. Hey Joe, Purple Haze, Voodoo Child, etc.
All Along the Watchtower.
And it's got some of the later ones, which it's been a bit superseded by other albums since. But it's got Room Full of Mirrors, Easy Rider, In From the Storm, some of those great ones. But what's really annoying about it is this suffers from the CD rot, I think. Or does it?
I've never heard of this CD rot.
Well, CD rot shouldn't happen. Actually, this is not too bad. It's got a bit of discoloration. I don't know whether you can see this.
Is this a bit like vinyl records when they're stored incorrectly and if you don't use is it PVC, UPVC? If you don't use
it's to do with the way it's manufactured. You can't really see it on there because of all the reflections. But this one, on the playing surface on the bottom, it's actually clear, but it's actually on the top. There's a bit of tarnish. But they've all got one thing in common. It says on the, round the rim on the inside, you can see where the CD was made.
You like looking at the rim.
Yeah, and these are made in the UK by PDO.
Yeah. Well, there's your first mistake.
Yeah. Now, I can't remember.
Whereabouts in the UK?
I've forgotten where that was.
Brummy called Dave, probably.
If you look it up, there's you can find out. The other one I've got, which I've noticed has got the problem, is U2, the Joshua Tree.
Yeah.
And this is from around about the same time.
I'm going to do a concert for it.
Look in the middle, and it's got, again, this was made by PDO. So this factory, which I can't remember where it is, but it made a number of CDs for quite a lot of different record labels in the early 90s, particularly on big selling ones where they obviously had to get them made in more than one factory. I don't know whether you can see this, but if I hold this U2 CD down here, can you see there?
Oh, yeah, I can,
on the edge.
Yeah,
where
like
it's going
like
that. It's going discoloured. Now, that can spread, and of course it gets to the bit where the data is, and once it does that, you can't play the disc anymore. So these discs feel, when you hold them by the edge, it feels a bit more rounded.
At the edge. You too.
The U2 on the edge.
Oh, he's a little hat.
Some of them feel a bit on the edge, they feel sort of square, chiseled off a square. There's a right angle.
Yeah.
If you were to look down the side there. And these have got more of a curvy on the edge. The PDO ones are like that, and they always seem to have a very silvery thing. Sometimes they have a very silvery bit right up to the hole. Silver.
Yeah.
That's a distinctive thing about PDO discs. Now, this doesn't happen with CDs that were made in Japan, and it doesn't happen with ones that were made in Germany, and as far as I'm aware, it doesn't happen with ones made in the USA. But it did happen with a whole load of discs made in the early 90s by PDO. And it was possible at one time for a few years to get them replaced. They actually set up a address and PO box number that you could post them to, and they would send you back a replacement. And I know someone that actually had their ABBA Gold compilation replaced because that started to go.
No.
But I didn't realise that my U2 and Jimi Hendrix ones were made by PDO.
Are we surprised? I mean, this is the country that gave us the Austin Allegro. and the Sinclair C5 or whatever it was. Are we surprised that anything made in this country is a little bit dodgy?
It is. The CDs are kind of like, the German-made CDs are like the Mercedes-Benz, and these
Very
are like
efficient, high quality.
These are the Austin Allegros or something,
Oh, I think that'll do, mate. I think it's a CD. I'm not even sure if it's round, but it'll do.
Because I've still got, in fact, I did show it the other day, didn't I? My Dire Straits Brothers in Arms CD from the 80s. That's made in West Germany. Absolutely perfect. Nothing wrong with it whatsoever. Looks the same as it always has. And I say most CDs do look the same. But of course, no one knows for absolutely sure how long any given CD will last. So
what is the lifespan of a CD? Does the data start corrupting, or
it would only be if the materials in it start to to disintegrate or rot away, or if there's some tarnish occurs. It's obviously it's all about optics, isn't it? Whether the laser can read, the laser can get to read those bumps on the surface. Did you know that if you have a full CD, a 74-minute CD, that the gap between those lines of data, which would be on a record the equivalent of the grooves, they're packed. There's 0.5 microns between each one across there, right? Because it's like on a like on a record, the groove is basically one continuous groove that's spiraling round and round. On a CD, it is a continuous spiral of data that's going outwards from the middle, right, and it goes all the way out to the edge if it's 74 minutes or 75 minutes long. 0.5 microns is the width between each one. That's a micron is a millionth of a meter, right?
That's small.
That's small. And if you were to take that, all of that string of data and pull it off the CD and stretch it all out, it would be 3.5 miles long.
Ooh. Because I think
that's mad, isn't it? Yeah.
Do you know what? With the CD, I almost think because everybody goes on about and how vinyl works and how they got it to work. I know it used to be on a cylinder, didn't it? It was a cylinder before the flat records came in.
Yeah.
The science behind how it works is fascinating, and even now, and I've watched many a YouTube video on it. My brain still can't work it out. How those little grooves work. But with a CD, but with a record, you can physically see the grooves. You can see everything on there. With a CD, you are literally looking at a mirror.
Yeah.
And you look at it, you think, well, how is there anything on that? Because
it's so tiny, because it's microns, and it's actually they're actually bumps rather than pits. Some people think it's holes in that aluminium layer. It's actually they're holes on the other side, but on the side that it reads, they're just bumps, little rectangular.
So if you were to look at it under a microscope, it wouldn't be flat. It would be.
It has these. There's either a bump or there isn't a bump.
Yeah.
So so the laser is reading whether there's something there or not. Yeah,
my bumps, my lovely lady bumps.
It's reading,
do you know what? Possibly the most nerdiest thing we've ever discussed.
Yeah.
I find it fascinating how it works.
Yeah, it is mad. Because it's something like 44,000, is it 44.1 kilohertz or something? So there's 44,000, like when you're watching a movie or TV, it's 24 frames a second.
Yeah.
You're basically seeing 24 photographs, one after another, in a single second, which then looks like a moving picture to you.
Yeah,
but it's actually there's no more than 24 stills in that 1 second.
Yeah.
With the CD, it's 44,000 samples per second.
See, do you know what? My brain also can't. When you get like a washing machine, it's like 1,400 revs a minute. And I'm thinking, how does it spin that quick?
It's mad, isn't it?
Science bewilders me, Philster. I mean, I can't even get my room lit up how I want. I mean, I'm not in where I normally light up, but I've got light out front of me and I've got my light here, but I can't even work that out. So I'll be lost with CDs. Science is brilliant. Got to give it to science. Science is underrated. So
I'm going to have to. I don't know whether I'm going to. Although the Jimi Hendrix CD seems to still play, I have ordered a replacement for my U2 Joshua Tree. What I've done is I've gone on Music Magpie and paid, I think, about £3 to get the 2007 edition, which is.
Oh, you've not gone for an 80s version?
No, I'm not gone for it. I've gone for the 2007 version, and I'm going to see whether I actually think that 2007 master is any better.
It's better.
So, because there's a disagreement. I looked online, and the hi-fi geeks seem to disagree. Some say, "Oh, the original '80s version is still better; it's more dynamic," and others say, "It's better in the 2007 version." So, I'm going to see what I think of that.
When people say it's more dynamic, do you think they're just talking because it must be such fine margins?
Yeah,
unless you're listening to them side by side. How, if you listen to one and then you go and listen to another one, and you're not listening to them at the same time, how do you know that one is?
I know. Well, when you play some of the older CDs that were made up to the early to mid 90s, they do sound quieter.
Yeah.
Than you have to sort of turn the volume up more. And the reason is they started making CDs louder because they were trying to get them louder on the radio, right? So they actually went beyond when Sony and Philips developed the CD, they had this, level at which you put the music on it. And they started.
When Phil spec'd
record companies started pushing it more and more and more. And then when you look at these graphs of the sound wave on the older ones, you can see, the quiet bits are very
quiet,
and then it expands more, and so there's more movement on the graph. Whereas the ones that are compressed or pushed up more, or brickwalled as they call it, everything looks louder on this graph. And what they say is that it means that some of the quieter bits or the quieter parts are boosted. And so they come closer to the louder parts. So there's not as much dynamics in the music. So rather than hearing a quiet part and then suddenly the drums come in and you hit that, that more dynamic part, it's more of a sameness. So you don't get that variation. And some people's ears are more sensitive to that than others, and some people get bored of listening to the more compressed files. Well, I mean, everything gets compressed for things like Spotify is slightly compressed, but it all depends on how much and how sensitive you are. But then some of these geeks go into the whole thing of looking at these graphs. They
Can I just pull you up on one thing?
Yeah.
You've just said these geeks go into. Yeah, you have just spent.
As if I'm not one.
You've just spent the last 90 seconds in full-on geek mode.
That's true. I can't. But yeah, I mean, some people claim to be very sensitive to it, and they claim that they get one of these CDs where it's all louder and it's more compressed, that they can't listen to it and they find it.
I have said a lot of times, haven't I? I am very meat and potatoes. I will just hear what I'm going to hear, and whatever comes out the speakers, my brain just goes, well, that's what you're supposed to be hearing.
Yeah, well, vinyl can't get brick-walled easily because they can't make it that loud, you see. So it's kind of brick-walled.
Is that because of the depth of the grooves and stuff like that?
Well, yeah, because you're less likely to get that kind of thing. So
yeah,
which is why some people say they can listen to a vinyl better than a certain CD. It all depends how they've been mastered. There's so many variables involved. But there's some people do say that the older versions of some of these albums, when I say older versions, I mean, reissued albums, or even albums that came out in the 80s, 90s, that the older versions are better to listen to than more recent remasterings.
Well, they've made them louder.
Because remastered sometimes just means made louder more than anything else.
Basically, English people on holiday abroad It's
Yeah,
the same. You just speak English, just louder.
that's exactly it. Yeah.
More drinky gas on. I think that's what they do, isn't it? Don't know.
Something like that, yeah.
Talking of vinyl, I went to Record Store Day last week.
Yeah, and you queued up?
I queued up. I went to Head Records in Leamington Spa. I took my boy with me. I took Noah, and I will do a little plug. You can catch me in Noah if you want, because we've got our own little channel called Dad Teaches Lad. And we made a video of us going to Record Store Day last week, and I was teaching him about records. Basically, it's me not teaching him a lot. But he came
It
with
sounds
me,
like
and
this channel in reverse, really, doesn't
it
it?
does,
But,
yeah. Only now you're the father. So we went over to Head Records, and I've never been to Record Store Day before because I'm just one of those people that thinks I'll get there and what I want won't be there, so I won't bother going. But because, and now my mum has accused me of talking about them too much, but Oasis released Time Flies on 4 discs for Record Store Day on vinyl. And to put it into context, the cheapest I could find Time Flies on vinyl before last Saturday was about £600 because it was only released at the time. So me and Noah, we left Head Records. Apparently was going to open at 9. Turned out they decided to change it to 8 o'clock. So me and Noah got there, and for anybody who's not been to the parade in Leamington Spa, when you come in off the main street, you're on the top floor where we came in, and you have to go down the escalator to Head Records. So when we walked in, because we were coming up along the left-hand side, I could see where Head Records was, and I could see a queue outside. And I said to Noah, we're going to be here for about half an hour, mate. We're going to be queuing. As we got to the escalator and walked round, we saw that the queue was all the way around the building, all the way past the other shop, all the way back out, almost to the back end of the parade. And I was like, you're going to need some money, and you're going to have to go to Greg's and get me a coffee, because we're going to be here for some time. But I dug in, had a few conversations with people. A lot of people were there for Taylor Swift's 7-inch vinyl release, which I have no idea what it was about. Probably you do, Philster. And I could see from my vantage point in the window the Oasis Time Flies. And I kept looking at them, and people were coming in, young people who weren't even born. Oh, they annoy me so much because they were picking up copies, and I was like, oh, I should be getting that. So I queued up for the best part of 2 hours. I had a sausage roll, and I had a bottle of water while I was queuing up. Met some
did you
lovely
have a
people in
sausage
the
roll
queue.
with? You should have.
A
Sorry,
sausage
to
roll with
interrupt.
it. Oh yes,
Yes, you should have said
there
I had a
was a
cup.
pun there.
I had a
Yes,
drink and I had a sausage roll with it. But yeah,
and as we got up to the final leg, I could see there were still some copies in the on the display, and I was like, because a few people in the queue with me said, "Oh, we've done a few record store days. We've never seen queues like this before." It was the Oasis effect, I think. I think Taylor Swift might have had something to do with it as well, but I think people got to the front of the queue. The guy said, "Oh, what are you here for?" I went, "I'm here for one of your copies, my friend, as I am a gentleman from the 90s, and therefore you should have reserved me one of Oasis Time Flies." And he looked at me, I looked at him, longingly into each other's eyes. He could see the need and the want from me, and I could
that
see
sounded
his.
like a Johnny Cash song there from her. He
It did,
looked.
didn't
I
it?
looked at
Uh,
him and he looked at me. Yeah, go on,
and,
sorry to
and,
interrupt.
and as soon as I said that, I could see the corner of his eyes just drop in, and I was like, in my brain was going, no, no, no. And then his mouth started to move, flapping around. And out of it came, "Oh, we've just sold the last copy." Yeah. At which point, brain went into slight meltdown, and I was like, "Ooh, yeah. And I'd already seen 9 o'clock on the dot. I went on to eBay, and there was already copies going on for £350. And I was like, this is ridiculous.
How much were they selling it for?
It was £90 from the shop.
Right.
So that's how much Oasis were selling it for, or how much Record Store Day was. But yeah, they were going on there for anywhere between, bidding was starting at 150, buy it now £352. And I was like, oh, I'm not going to spend £352 on it. So I went in, and Noah said to me, he said, are you going to get anything, Dad, seeing as we're here? And I was like, well.
And you said,
Luckily,
Taylor Swift's 7-inch.
7-inch single. No, Liam Gallagher released a acoustic sessions, like an EP of about 6 tracks. So I bought that for more than I wanted to spend. That was £25. I left Head Records after 2.5 hours. Got home, and we were going off to do something. I went on to, was it Discogs? Because they're already coming on to Discogs. And I thought, when I got to Head, because I didn't know how much it was going to be, I was thinking in my head, it's going to be about £150, maybe 200. Somebody had it on Discogs, buy it now, £145 plus postage, worked out to about 151 quid. So I thought, well, I thought it was going to be 150 quid anyway. So I bought it. I then got in the shower, had a little wash, got out the shower. I went back onto Discogs. There was a French record shop that was selling it for £87 plus delivery, which was, I think, £8. So it worked out to 96 quid all in total. So I thought, well, I'll buy that, and then I'll cancel the other one. So I bought it. So now I'm at the stage, queued for 2.5 hours, a 15-minute window at home. I've ended up with 2 copies. So in my head, I was thinking, well, I didn't realise this record shop was in France because I didn't bother looking at that. I thought, well, I'll wait until the French one is dispatched. Then I'll cancel the one I got for 140 quid, and therefore I've got 1 copy.
You've ended up with both of them, haven't you?
I've ended up with both of them, but I thought, because in my head I was thinking, oh, shall I keep them? Shall I have both copies? The one from France is coming on tomorrow. And so I put the other one up for sale, and I'm not going to rip anybody off. I put it up for what I bought it for, and somebody has bought it off me. But I'm not going to dispatch it until I know that the one from France is here and it's the same thing. So turns out, people, you can queue all you want for Record Store Day, or you can save your time and go online and buy it afterwards. But it was amazing, the fact that literally as I was in the queue, 9 o'clock came, you just saw them dropping in onto eBay, people listing them £300. But now
It's a shame. It's a shame that people are just doing it to profiteer on it, isn't it? They're not going and buying the records because they love them or love the band. That's a shame.
Yeah. Well, Noah told me there's people called, I can't remember what the term is, I suppose like ticket touts. I think he called it scalpers. And he said they'll literally come to these things, buy them, and then sell them and that's what a lot of people obviously were doing. And I obviously advertised it on Vinted as well. And I even put in there, look, I bought this off of eBay. I'm selling it for exactly what I bought it for. I'm not here to profiteer out of anybody. And somebody came back and called me a reselling. What was the word? It was an endearing term that can't be repeated before 9 p.m. And I was like, you know what, mate? I could understand it if I hadn't put the bit. And I even put in the advert, even says, willing to show my receipt from eBay or Discogs, wherever I bought it from. But yeah, there was a lot of people profiteering from Record Store Day, which is a shame, really, because that's not what it's there for. But then again, I suppose
like concerts, isn't it? It's like same with concerts. People are buying them; they're not fans; they just want to make money off the fans.
Yeah. So I have helped somebody out because they're not paying £300 for it; they're literally just paying me what I've paid for it. And I don't think, unless it's something I desperately need, but I have all the Oasis stuff on vinyl now.
Did you actually? Did you desperately need any of this in the first place?
No, I
do have to
didn't.
ask.
And this is the whole collectible sort of thing that gets into my head because then midweek I went and spent a little bit of money on the last remaining Matchbox 20 vinyl album I didn't have, which was A Brief History of Time, their live album. So I've spent quite a bit of money on vinyl this week, Phil. But but record store day, people, just be careful out there because there are people who will try and rob you blind. But it was a good experience. I got to meet some nice people, and it was good to hear people from, because I just thought, oh God, everybody's here for the Oasis album, and they weren't. Like I say, a lot of people were there for some very obscure stuff I hadn't heard of before. So yeah, but yeah, 2 hours of my life I'll never get back, Philster.
There we go. Well, I must admit, I've never been to one. I can't see that I ever will, but I'm not against it happening. And some of these big artists, well, a lot of them do it, don't they? They put out something that is just an exclusive thing.
For record store day, yeah.
It's usually an exclusive artifact rather than an exclusive recording, isn't it? It's usually a song that's sometimes available somewhere else, but they've packaged it differently.
Yeah, Noel Gallagher released one a couple of years ago, which was a song that you could listen to it on Spotify and that, but obviously people who want to collect and have completionists, which I am when it comes to certain artists. Why can't everybody be like the New Radicals? One album, bang, done.
Has that ever been reissued in some special version?
No, it's never had a 25 because it was released in '98, so it missed its 25-year anniversary. Whether it will get a 30-year anniversary in a few years' time, who knows? But well, I was talking about anniversaries today. Had on in the car, and it really took me back to 2005. I had the Stereophonics album on, Sex, Violence, Language, Other. The one with Dakota on. And I had, putting that on, I had a 10-minute spell where not a depressive episode, but a real sort of, like I've said before about Born Slippy, the moment that dum 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 comes in, how it sort of harps you back to sort of that 90s period of your youth. Having that album on, because when that album came out, I just bought, well, technically my second place. So I was just bought my flat. I changed jobs. I was going out every weekend. And it really hit home. Like, cause I was thinking, you kind of, when you're sort of in your, what would I have been there, 25, 26? I was only 10 years out of leaving school. Yet you kind of think that you're set in the world and you're sort of so, but just listening to that album took me back to that period. And it once again feels that music has this amazing effect of making you reflect on periods of your life. And that really took me back listening to that album today. To the point that actually made me a little bit sad that you'll never get that time again. You'll never get to experience that freshness of being youthful and out. And, so well done, the Stereophonics. I know they've got a new album out in a couple of days, but you really kind of put a damper on my Sunday afternoon for a few minutes until I got my Costco hot dog. Yeah, little insight for you there, Philster. I know you're not a massive Stereophonics fan.
Well, it doesn't really matter what it is, does it? But maybe, there's something things can bring back a memory, and sometimes they do. Although I must admit, sometimes I do like listening to music that I don't have those old memories of, because then I'm just discovering something new. When I say new, it doesn't need to be brand new. It could be 50 years old that I've never heard it before.
Yeah. I do struggle a bit. I've been open about mental health struggles and stuff, and I do struggle a bit with when I reflect back on that sort of time between the age of sort of 21, 22 to about 26, 27, because that was such a great time for me. So much freedom, so much sort of new, getting a place of my own again for the second time. Obviously, I did this one time on my own. And the freedom of having your own place, mates coming round before a Saturday night out, having the Arctic Monkeys on. I remember listening to that debut album by the Arctic Monkeys. And music does have that big thing for me where I can listen to a track and pinpoint an exact point when I listen to that track, and it will take me back to that moment. It's a really weird sort of, it's not soul destroying, but it does make you reflect on, life a little bit, Phil, which I suppose is what music's there to do, isn't it? It's supposed to make you feel some sort of emotion. If you don't feel anything listening to it, then it's not doing what it's set out to do, I suppose. I've gone really deep and philosophical.
You've gone very deep and philosophical on this one, haven't you?
Yeah. But it did have a really profound effect on me. And it's probably their second best album, maybe third best album, I think, that one. It's a good album. You should listen to it.
The second, which is the best album then by the Stereophonics?
I would say Word Gets Around, the first album. I think the debut album is good, I think. But then the second album's really good, the one with like Bartender and the Thief on. Wouldn't Believe Your Wireless Radio, that sort of stuff on there. Just Looking. But then the other two albums, I think I've said before, like Just Enough Education to Perform, I kind of fell out of love with that one. I found it almost like Kelly Jones was just writing lyrics for lyrics' sake. And then the next album was a great sort of tub thumper, sort of 70s sort of feel to it with Madame Helga and things like that on it. You've got to go there to come back. But Sex, Language, Violence, Other was it was a good album. Yeah, it really sort of, that 2005 year for me was always Don't Believe the Truth, Oasis, Arctic Monkeys debut, and then that Stereophonics album. They were on very much repeat. And the Final Straw by was it Final Straw, Snow Patrol? No, that was 2004. Then that was a real big album for me. So yeah, I like a little bit philosophical, whatever it is. So
perhaps the show should be. Perhaps we should call the channel Phil and Philosopher rather than Phil and Ben.
Phil and the Philosopher's Stone or something like that. Yeah. No. Yeah. But it is. I think anybody who isn't sort of that music doesn't. I think, and you're going to have to forgive me, Mother, but Noel Gallagher once said music should either make you want to do two things. It should either make you want to lie in a hammock with a beer, chilling out, or it should make you want to walk down the street with a chainsaw.
Wake me up when he's finished going on about Noel Gallagher. Oh, sorry.
You know what I like about you, Philster?
What's that?
Bugger all.
I'm just taking the cue from just to make your mum laugh if she's watching that.
Yeah. She still tells me off for things I say on this. Apparently, I can never slag off Michael Bolton ever again. Which is why, from next week, there'll be the Phil and Ben Michael Bolton channel, which we'll discuss Michael Bolton, the 80s, 90s, and beyond. It's not going to happen. Well, could do, I suppose.
At that point, viewer, I'm going to wrap up this particular episode because it's been going on for nearly 40 minutes.
Can you do it in the style of a rap?
Can I do it in the style of a rap? Not really. I can't rhyme that fast.
It's Ben. We've got to go now. We've got to. Oh, I can't do it. We've got to.
The time's ticking on, so we've got to get on. We're gonna. I can't rap on the spot, I'm afraid.
No, I can't rap. We're a little bit like Anton Deck when it comes to rapping. He's Philum, I'm Benham, a duo, a twosome, with so many lyrics, we're frightened to use them.
Peace out.
Mic drop. Is that the slowest mic?